These people believe that everyone has a biological family and parents who can simply be called at any moment. Or that everyone loves their biological family and should love it. When something good happens to them, they can truly enjoy that moment without fear of something terrible following. They think that all people are inherently good and wish others well. I miss that version of myself who thought that way too. The only people they lost in life, if at all, are grandparents who died in old age. They are not afraid that life can suddenly deliver some crushing blow to them. They are a little more sure than necessary that they will never face an endless series of misfortunes. Deep down, they believe that they are somehow invulnerable. Such confidence can also come after someone has crawled out from the very bottom. The realization that you survived hell and managed to return also gives a sense of invincibility. They remember their childhood. Stress causes amnesia. Oh, that's a real blow to the gut. I have that not only with childhood, but also with adolescence and the period when I was in my early 20s. Everything is like in a fog. If you, like me, enter adulthood thinking that most people are good by nature, and then suddenly find out that many people are selfish, taking more than they give in all aspects of life. I didn't grow up in the most greenhouse environment, but lately I'm just amazed at how selfish people can be around. The irony is, although it's not surprising, that the most protected and spoiled people are most often the most selfish. They think that everyone around them is their friend and ready to help. They believe that life is fair and that life only punishes bad people. They believe that if something bad and unexpected happened to someone, then the person is to blame. They need to believe that life can't just tear you to shreds. Otherwise, they will be forced to admit that at any moment, everything can go to hell for no reason. They have a secure attachment style. My husband is very adequate in this regard. I have an anxious, ambivalent attachment style, and I constantly feel that my relationship is under threat. And him? He doesn't care at all. He never wonders if his parents might reject him or start treating him differently than his siblings. He just says, "So what if that's the case? I envy that person, lol." Right, I think people think I'm some kind of spoiled or shady type because I had a good childhood. I can recognize toxic traits in people and know my worth. But unfortunately, I am increasingly developing an avoidant attachment style because the friends I used to make suddenly stopped communicating with me without explanation. I perfectly understand how the epidemic of male loneliness arose. They are happy, balanced, trusting, able to build strong and healthy relationships, and believe that people are generally friendly. I met a 26-year-old girl who was genuinely surprised to learn that not everyone around is Christian and not everyone voted for Trump. She is from a very wealthy and protective family. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "You don't believe in Jesus?" They can rejoice in small things, whatever they may be. They have no self-preservation instinct in public places, or they generally lack street smarts. This stuff has saved me more than once. They go into areas or walk along streets where you obviously shouldn't go, and either get what they deserve, or someone kind warns them to leave before something happens. They sincerely believe that if people just try, they can improve their lives, and the only thing that prevents them is their own laziness. They say, family is everything. And they really believe it, which is not always good. They are sure that people are generally kind and care about the well-being of others. It's hard for them to believe in other people's traumas because, well, people can't treat each other that badly. They don't pick up on other people's emotions by the sound of their footsteps. They easily believe other people. They simply had no reason not to trust. They can call their parents or siblings at any moment, just to ask for help or say hello. People who say that you need to love your family regardless of everything. Hell, live 18 years with my mother and then tell me if you still think so. And she wasn't even the worst mother in the world. They never thought about how differently you can tell about some event. They don't have a working version, a family version, a version for friends, a real version, a version for a psychotherapist. They just tell everything as it is, without thinking about who might have their roof blown off by this and what the consequences will be. They are satisfied with their mediocre results. They don't suffer from perfectionism, they don't have high standards for themselves, fear of judgment from others. They don't experience paralysis from a task that should theoretically be easy. These are people who think that a fight can never be a possible course of events, and that those who got into them are to blame themselves. If you've never been in a random fight, then you haven't lived in the ghetto. Yes, sometimes you can defuse the situation. Yes, sometimes you can just leave. But there are people who are willing to literally chase after you and ruin their lives over some little thing. That's why there are a bunch of videos on the internet where delicate guys get hit in the face because they were trying to talk to someone who wasn't going to talk. This doesn't mean that you need to look for fights yourself. But knowing how to punch someone in the face can save your ass someday. Yes, when trying to leave, never turn your back. You don't know how a person controls their impulses. I say this as someone who was once hit on the back of the head with an object. It was a mistake of youth. I thought I had diffused the situation between a former friend and the attacker. We had already walked away, but I still got hit. An unobvious take. Some of them may have low levels of empathy because they have never experienced real emotional pain. Often people who are cruel actually grew up in a loving and pampering environment. The theory that bullies necessarily suffer because of a bad environment in the family is not always true. Another trait. They are usually satisfied with existing social norms, religion, culture, and so on. Perhaps because it has never interfered with their comfortable existence. They don't know how to deal with even small conflicts. They think that help will always come. They don't have a realistic view of life. They consider poverty and various life difficulties simply a person's choice. Lost your job? Oh no, that's so sad. Now you have to go back to your parents. Many don't have that option at all, but for such people it seems like something terrible. And now imagine what it's like for parents to support an adult child. Why do you think there are so many homeless people? Because they didn't have support when they needed it so badly. If a person is overly self-confident, for me, this is a sign that he probably hasn't had serious obstacles in life. Maybe his appearance helped, maybe his parents spoiled him, or there was always support from friends and surroundings. There are people who become confident after achieving something significant, for example, in a profession or in creativity. But much more often there are those who were just lucky with the conditions. I know a married couple that fits this description perfectly. Both come from wealthy families. Both received higher education. Both couldn't find work, but their parents helped them out. The wife decided to open a clothing store entirely with her parents' money. It's cool if the family can support, but not everyone has such an opportunity. The store is not very successful. The husband got a job in a small company where his mother works as vice president. He got his starting experience there. No other company took him. They both firmly believe that they have achieved everything themselves through their own labor. They don't understand how easy it is to lie about something, and they get angry when they find out that someone is deceiving them. They demand that the person stop doing that. But unconscious lies are very difficult to eradicate. If you had to lie as a child to survive, for example, saying that you like something when you can't stand it, just so you don't get hit, or so as not to run into a scandal and so on. I remember how after a party, my friend and I went to her house. We went in, and she's like, "Hi Mom, Dad, we had such a great time. I tried KKN." And her parents are like, "Oh, cool, did you like it?" People who make global statements in the style of, "Why doesn't someone just?" As if buying a house, buying a new car, getting health insurance, going on vacation, this is something very simple. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but when guys constantly complain about little things, it brings some thoughts to mind. For example, minor inconveniences can completely ruin their day, and so day after day. They can be enraged by the way other people walk, smell, look, move, or traffic, or that someone said something wrong. And they also lack understanding of other people's problems. They cannot accept that not everything can be fixed or somehow helped in one situation or another. When they hear that some person has a problem, they really want to help. However, they don't understand and even get irritated if nothing can be done. I've seen people grow apart because of illnesses or difficulties, because the one who is doing well cannot exist next to a problem that can't be solved. Just ask your parents to help you with rent, groceries, and adequate advice on life. They will support you, right? Like, no, they won't support you.